What's up, YouTube? Third Impact here. Finally finished with the 12 days of anime, but, still out celebrating the holidays. I'm actually in Saskatoon now, way out west in Canada. I was snowmobiling all day and doing all sorts of fun, cold activities. But I thought I would just take this time to get a video out to you guys and number one, check out this new camera. Check out the HD, the 1080p. If that's an option, turn it up because I'm so happy I have a camera that can actually do this now. And once I get back to my house, sorry, the background is gonna look so awesome in HD. So like, I'm really pumped for that. In the meantime, I was just digging through some old bins of like stuff that I had stored here at my mom's place, and I found these two guys, so I'll throw them into the video. You got Zaraki and Sesshomaru, so a bit of a shonen sort of feel, but Sesshomaru here, he was the first plushie I ever bought. I don't really have that many now, but I had a little phase where I got quite a few, and that was the plushie that I got at the very second time I ever went to Anime North, which I've been to 11 times now, so sentimental value. And Zaraki, he's just a badass. And Bleach too, if you've been keeping up with that lately. Every day it's just like, oh, come on, like, when are they going to show Zaraki? I want to see his Bankai. I need to see that. So, I don't know. Those two guys are there. And I really wanted to do a video just showing all of the anime and manga that I've gotten from the holidays, but I think in 2 days I'm going to be going and getting some new stuff, so I'm going to hold off on that. Here's a little preview. There's a lot of good stuff there, so I'm really excited to get through that. But in the meantime, it looks like a new chapter of Attack on Titan before the falls come out. So let's do a little quick chapter review rundown of Chapter 3, The Promise Beneath the Moon. So, how the last chapter ended, we're starting off with Charlie going down to kill Kyokuro. Because, she's resolute and she feels it's her duty to kill the Titans. And actually, as much as I'm kind of pissed that she's taking this view on Kyokuro, I also feel at the same time she doesn't really know any better, and it's actually quite badass of her to, like, have the nerve to want to sneak down as a 13-year-old girl and stab this guy to death. Like, I mean, she acknowledges the fact that, like, the meaning of her birth is to be married off strategically to another family, which is how things are in a lot of other countries, but also definitely how things were in, like, a medievalish sort of setting. So I think it's, like, quite impressive that this 13-year-old girl has thought about these sorts of things and is saying, like, even though that might be my purpose in life, I can really make a purpose with my life by killing this Titan, because she's pretty convinced that this is a Titan. So, I mean, good for her to have this sort of resolve, but so Charlie is approaching Kyokuro, and she has her knife raised, and you can tell she's pretty nervous about this. You see that Kyokuro is thinking his resist again, and it's like, uh-oh. Is he gonna fight back? Is she gonna get killed instead? What's gonna happen here? And when he stands up to, like, sort of, react to her approaching, she actually freaks out and drops the knife. So she's not quite as badass as I previously gave her credit for. She's not quite prepared to do what she set out to do. But strangely, Kyokuro picks up the knife and actually puts it back in her hand and holds her hand there, like, ready to stab him. So it's like, does he want to die? He's, like, assisting her in this, so it's very strange. It also confuses Charlotte, obviously. So he continues with his whole resist sort of thing, and Charlotte is a little confused by this. It's like, wait, so you speak? And this is very funny because she was completely under the impression that he was some sort of mindless Titan. And he then says Shabi, and that's the name of her brother. So she's like, oh, that's my brother's name. You can speak? Then his stomach's in pain, and she's like, oh my goodness. So she drops her knife and runs to go get him food. And it's kind of crazy because he has said these things like resist when he's been around Shabi, when he's been around all these real assholes, but they still just are completely under the impression that he's either a Titan or that he is going to be a tool used as sort of like the son of Titans, and that, he can be used politically. So compared to the other characters, Charlotte's immediately smarter than all of them, being like, "Oh, what? Like he can speak? Like he's not a Titan. Obviously, I'm gonna go get him some food." So it's like, wow, like I'm glad that this is how it turned out for both of them. It seems as though they have a sort of understanding, and Charlotte is actually a very nice person compared to all the other people in this crappy family. And then she's like, "Oh, I've never heard of Titan children before, and most Titans are extremely just monstrous and barbaric, and most Titans heal immediately after they're injured." It's like, oh wow, it looks like this Charlotte character can actually think. Wow, she's putting two and two together and saying that he's not a Titan. That's very refreshing. So while Kyokuro's chowing down all of this food, they have a really touching moment where Charlotte really kind of understands the situation. She smiles and she tells him her name, and they sort of introduce each other to themselves, and she kind of slowly is starting to teach him English, and he picks it up surprisingly fast. He's saying little phrases and whatnot. And then she starts teaching him. He's like, "What are Titans?" And he has absolutely no idea because clearly he's not a Titan and he's been jailed his whole life. So she shows him a map of the whole kingdom and explains to him how the walls work. And there's pictures of Titans kind of around the map, and he realizes that in the pictures they're stomping on people. And he makes the connection between him grabbing insects and bugs in his cell and how it's similar to how the Titans eat the people. So he makes the connection. He's like, "Oh, is this why they fear me? Like the same way that maybe like these insects and whatnot." But he vows to finally see a Titan one day so that he can prove to himself that he is not one of them. Kyokuro is actually quite smart at this point and realizes, even with all of his knowledge of the world, his knowledge of the language, that Dario and Shabi will obviously never free him, because it's very clear that he's simply there for Shabi to beat on and to raise his confidence as far as actually being able to fight Titans. So he still plays dumb, he still plays the part of the Titan child, and he slowly corrodes the chains that he's shackled with like blood, sweat, and piss, because he doesn't want to, arouse suspicion with cutting it or anything. So it's a very long-term plan of slowly weakening the chains. Shabi's joining the military police now, and they realize that he has kind of used up Kyokuro in that role, and that there's no real need for him anymore, and that they'll probably just sell him off to some merchant at this point. And Charlotte's sort of, she's kind of upset that she's not going to be able to see him anymore. But then Dario lets her know, like, "Oh, and things are going to start getting busy for you. The marriage proposals are finally going through." And she sort of realizes that just like Kyokuro, she as well was only ever a tool in order for this family to propel itself further in social standing. Charlotte's coming to free Kyokuro, or not free him, but let him know that he has to escape with the next night because he's going to be sold off. But she's really upset and not that happy at the fact that he's going to be able to escape, because she's still stuck with this proposed marriage, and she's also going to be sent off in her own way, and they'll be separated. But in a very touching moment, Kyokuro offers her to escape with him and that they'll be together. He puts out her hand and she holds it, and it's really nice. And that's the promise made of Beneath the Moon. So looks like Charlotte and Kyokuro are going to escape together. And that's the chapter. I mean, it was a really nice chapter. It wasn't obviously an actiony chapter. It was all about Charlotte and Kyokuro's relationship, and also very necessary because now he is going to escape. And I honestly have no idea. Like, it's easy enough to predict that from him being imprisoned and Charlotte going to approach him with the knife or whatever, that some sort of relationship would hopefully come out of that. But now, after their escape, I have absolutely no idea where this story is going to go. I have no idea how or if he's going to be joining some sort of military group. It's going to be very interesting from here. So I liked this chapter. It was very nice. It was really cute, their relationship, and I really like Charlotte and Kyokuro. I really hope that one of them doesn't die or anything. Like, I hope that they're sort of major characters throughout and they have a sort of relationship. And yeah, that's it for Attack on Titan Before the Fall, Chapter 3. Good chapter, and hopefully I'll be getting back to you guys in 2 days' time with a big anime manga haul review. So that'll be really fun to go through. So I'm just looking over all the stuff right now, and it's going to be a good video. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys later. Peace.